On today's show, how did the Dallas Mavericks fall to the Phoenix Suns? How did they almost beat Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns? We'll talk about that, the weaknesses, and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day and every post game. We are free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let me know. What's one reason the Mavs lost to the Suns? I know it's probably just Kevin Durant is probably the only thing people are commenting over and over again, but let us know in the comment section below. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match with the promo code LOCKEDON. That's prizepicks.com, promo code LOCKEDON. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com. The Don't Wait Wonder, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
I did a first thing today in my life.
Fabulous first. That's what my dad always called it.
All right.
We would come home and he would be like, did anybody do a fabulous first today at the dinner table? And he would ask us and we'd go around the table and I'd be like, I don't know. I went to I played my first basketball game or I did, I got an A in the first class or something like that.
All right. Well, I had a fabulous first today. It feels like the corny family version of your first. Anyway, so
something you got to use these for.
Went to the Mavericks game, and the game was so early that there's still time left in the day that I went straight from covering the Mavericks game, watching an intense game, to playing 2 hours to pick up basketball. Never done that in my life because it's so weird being in that that mindset. And then I get out there, I'm like,
because you're a hooper.
Hooper. And I'm like, I'm going to do something I saw on the floor. And I'm like, hey, I don't work at that same level as I've just been watching this, the highest level of basketball. And then I just feel really dumb because I'm like, what am I even doing out here? Anyway, it was just a weird mindset shift. I've never done that before. And, but it was fun at the same time.
On today's show, we'll talk about that high level of basketball that was actually played, not the level Isaac played, but the level that was played in Mavs versus Suns. Was Luka Doncic right physically? I think that's something we do need to talk about early. We'll talk about how the Mavs almost got a win, but it got away from him again. And then let's talk about some more stuff. The bench I thought was incredible. We got to talk about them, talk about Kevin Durant versus Kyrie, Booker versus Luka, all kinds of different stuff. The comments after the game.
Next time, don't wait till it's 3 seconds left to talk.
There's so many things to get into. This rivalry is really fun every time you get into it. The fans online, on Twitter, I think if you read through the comments under just some of the posts that I made afterwards, I don't know if you would know which team won the game. I think both fans were just as mad at the other team as the others. Suns fans just get more angry when they win games than when they lose games.
If you got put out like you did last year, though, I'd be pretty mad.
They're talking like they didn't, though. It's crazy. But the Mavericks do lose this game 130 to 126, as the Mavs are prone to do recently. They can only score 120 or more in games now. But Luka Doncic, I think, is the main story of this because he had things to say after the game. He had things to say during the game. Only shot 8 of 23, 34 points, played just 35 minutes, just a little notable, and had 5 turnovers, only 4 assists. He was 1 of 9 from 3 in this game. And I got to the game early. I got to the game about an hour and a half early. Luka usually warms up on the main court an hour before the game. This has been consistent for a long time that he's been warming up then. And I kept waiting around, and he wasn't coming out. He never came out of the tunnel, never warmed up. Turns out he was warming up in the practice facility. He didn't warm up in the main court. But then the Mavs came out for their warm-ups, and they started doing the layup lines, and they started to do that after they did, they always have a group to come and perform a song or something like that. And then the Mavs come out, Luka was late coming out of that too. And so I thought that was weird. And that kind of poked my head up. And then Luka didn't play as much during the game. And then Tim McMahon was talking about how they were giving him like treatment during the game. And so I don't think Luka was right physically. They asked him about it after the game. He said, I've been dealing with it for the last week. So yeah, today was the worst. I'm just trying to keep going. We don't really know what exactly it is, but when I try to shoot or jump, I feel like this leg is a little bit weaker pain-wise. He said it's not too bad. And then Tim Cato asked if it was, it affected that final shot that he missed. He had that shot to tie the game at the very end, that bunny right at the rim. And he said, no, I just missed that one. And he said it didn't affect it. I'm going to call BS on that. I think it did affect it because I think it affected every shot he took.
Yeah, I mean, something was going on. I mean, I tweeted, very early in the game. I thought he was sick.
Right.
We were joking up there. We're like, hey, is he just going to throw up in the middle of the game? Because, like you said, we were like, is he ever going to come out? He didn't warm up. He warmed up practice court and all the stuff you're saying. Even like early on timeouts and stuff, or he was just already like hunched over on his knees but he wasn't. It didn't seem like he was favoring the thigh at that point. He just was like hunched over. I'm like, dude, is just dealing with sickness? Are we gonna get a, I
don't know what it was.
Then he left for a bit in the second, came back, but yeah, I mean, he wasn't 100%. It's not an excuse, but it's still just worth talking about. Like, hey, he wasn't 100%. He still put up 34 in this game. He got a ton of free throws, 17 of 19 from the free throw line. That's incredible for him. Like that's a great percentage.
There's the moment in 30 Rock, the show where Jenna has to sing and she gets like the yips and she can't sing, and they go through her childhood and when she was like a child singer, and they realize that all these moments where she had to sing in like a high pressure situation, she had some kind of pain that was happening. And so at the very end, she's like has the yips, can't sing, and then from across the room, Pete Hornberger, the producer, shoots an arrow and like cuts her arm, and she gets the pain, and all of a sudden she sings perfectly. I felt like Luka's pain in his leg was like that, and he finally hit his free throws. He went 17 of 19 in this game, and he just needed some pain just to get through it, just to focus. That reference is for like 5 people, and I appreciate every one of you.
Yes, all 5 of you can reach out to Nick about that. And then obviously it came down to the end of the game. He missed the bunny. He should have made it. There's no excuse on it. He said it. But he missed it, and then there's the whole scuffle of him and Booker, and it's not a shocking thing out there that these two guys don't like each other. It's awesome for the league. Like I liked Booker's answer after the game about, hey, y'all are always talking about how people don't are too friendly in the NBA. Now you have some smoke, and it's Luka made his comment, and it's like, that's cool. Like, this is great for the league. Sign me up for this. Whether Booker, I couldn't tell. Like, from my angle, it didn't look like Booker was talking to him, but obviously Luka didn't like, what he was saying. So, Luka,
McMahon and Cato both asked Luka about that specifically and said, was he talking to the ref or was he talking to you? And I watched the film back, and yeah, he is like looking at the ref, but he's pointing at Luka. Like he's pointing his whole arm like at Luka and walking towards the ref and talking, but talking close enough to Luka that he knows Luka can hear what he's saying. But Luka said, oh no, he was talking to me. The way the words that he said, the things that he was saying, he was talking to me. And then they asked if he would say what Booker said to him, and he's like, no, I'd get fined. I can't say that. It's not appropriate. And Luka mouth, shut the F up back to Devin Booker, and they just went at it. And yeah, you gotta love the smoke, right? Like this is a real rivalry in the NBA now. I so want another playoff series of this. It just makes the NBA great. It just makes basketball.
How many other rivalries right now are there? Like, how many of them are you like really circling like in a playoff series? Like, man, that a ton of people, not just us being biased Mavs fans, like that you would be looking at saying, all right, man, that's going to be a tough like rivalry.
Like Grizzlies Warriors? No, like.
Well, Grizzlies got their own problems right now.
They do have lots of problems right now. I mean, like Sixers Bucks the other night didn't even seem like you can't do Nets Knicks anymore. Like that's not even really a rivalry.
No. Is it the best in the league right now? Suns Mavs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best rivalry in the league. And if Luka Doncic was right, I think physically this game goes differently. If the headline of this game, I think should be for Mavs fans. Luka Doncic shoots 8 of 23 from the field, and the Mavericks almost win against Kevin Durant and the Suns. And Kevin Durant and Booker combined for 64% from the field. It's 27 of 42 from the field, those two guys.
Okay, after the break, let's continue on this and talk about why Mavs fans should have their heads, high right now.
Yeah, let's talk about the good we can take away from this game. Obviously, we'll talk about the reasons why they lost a little later. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. You can go check out PrizePicks right now and see what's available to you. They have all kinds of stuff. It's changing all the time. You can go to PrizePicks, use the promo code LOCKEDON, you get 100% instant deposit match up to $100. You can use it on, Grizzlies versus Clippers. I don't think Ja Morant is going to be playing in this game, so he won't be. They have fourth quarter points. That one's an interesting one. Kawhi Leonard, 6.5 fourth quarter points, more or less against the Grizzlies?
More.
This team needs a win. This Clippers team also has not had a lot of wins recently. Paul George, 5.5 fourth quarter points, more or less? I'm going to go less on that one. If I just put that, you're going to say more. I'm going to say less. If you just put that down, you can play $20. You'll win 60. If I put down 100, I can win $300 just with that play. You can do all kinds of other things with it too. You can combine it with other NBA things, soccer, MLB, all kinds of other things. Go check it out. It's prizepicks.com. All right, Isaac Harris, thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day and being part of the show. Again, free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. I want to take 1 second and before we go any further and just say, I so appreciate every single person that came up to me today during the game. I came home and told my wife, I was honestly overwhelmed by the amount of people that came up and said, Raccoon Squad, Locked On Mavs, I listen to the show every day. Appreciate you guys and what you're doing. And that means so much to me. I had a couple of stickers at home. I gave out every sticker I had. I think I gave out 30 to 35 stickers today to different people that came up to me. Shout out to Ariel. Shout out to all the people that I met. I do still have
Little Mermaid.
I do still have some sticker condoms here, and I appreciate a lot. Paul Schmidt, his son came up to me today, and he's like in second, third grade, maybe fourth grade, and was like, "Are you Nick? Is your channel Locked On Mavs?" And took a picture with me, and it was the first time that like a kid came up to me and asked if he had. If I was Nick, and that he said he had watched the channel and watched us. And that took me like all the way like to a point where like I almost teared up on the way down to the presser.
You need to watch your jokes, Nick.
I do absolutely. I do.
Paul's kid is listening.
Yeah, absolutely. But I appreciate all of that. And thank you guys for being part of this and being part of this community. Like one of the things we really want to do is make this a community, and the Raccoon Squad is definitely that. So thank you.
Thanks for walking up to Nick and never finding me.
Every single person asks where you are, and I have to point all the way up into the ceiling to see where you are because Isaac
come up there and see me. If you're real fans, come up and see me in the press box.
Literally, no one can get to you. Like that is like you're
okay. That's kind of true. People have looked up in the press box up in that section and
that's
said,
true.
Hey, that's Isaac.
What's this? It's like 324 or something. If you're in that section, you can turn around and look up and see them, but you're kind of up in an ivory tower up there.
I mean, I'm more comfortable.
I have some stickers left. I ordered a whole bunch more, so I probably won't have them for the next home game, but for the rest of the season, I'll have them because that was amazing today. All right. Dallas Mavericks, they lose the game, but I think this is a game you can look at, and I don't know if you can say, oh, moral victory. The Mavs should feel really good about this, but I do think they're figuring some things out. What's something that you saw today? You're like, okay, I think they're figuring some stuff out.
Oh, gosh. It was more of, hey, let's look at some things that went decently well that you're looking at and saying, I mean, this is a loaded Suns team, right? Like,
yeah,
Booker and Kevin Durant having 37, Booker 36, but Chris Paul in the role he's playing, obviously DeAndre Ayton, even though he didn't do a ton, he had a lot of rebounds in this game, 16. But
Suns are the number one team in the West to go to the NBA to win the NBA championship right now. If you go to Bet Online, plus 460 for the Suns, plus 800 for the Nuggets. Like that's a big difference between those two teams. They're the favorite.
No. Yeah, so it's like you look at the 3-point shooting between Kyrie and Luka. Yeah, they had 34 and 30, but I mean they went 4 of 17 from the 3-point line together. I mean that's not going to happen a ton between those two guys. they didn't have Maxey. Like Maxey would have changed this game a lot defensively.
Yes.
And, being able to have that guy that can play on the perimeter and also hit the threes too. Those are just two things just right off the top that, you could look at, hey, they're getting to the line better, shooting better free throw, percentage on that. But you take away Tim's, 6 threes in this game. It's like, there wasn't a really great outside shooting outside of Tim. So, that's the thing I'm looking at is saying, somebody tweeted at us after the game and say, hey, give me some positives from this game. This sucks losing. Yeah, it sucks losing. They lost by 4. They could have won this game. But man, there's a lot that shows you in this game. Like they went into this Philly Phoenix, 2-game stretch. And we were joking before this 2-game stretch and saying, all right, what if they win these next 2? Like how would that change your mind? Because, 2 games ago, getting online and talking Mavs basketball is really difficult. All right. It's difficult in it already, but and then they beat Philly and then they almost won this game. Man, that would really like talking about flipping 180, but it at least showed me a lot too of like, they can hang with some of these guys. Maxey's going to change something. They're all healthy. It shows you this level of basketball that they can all play. Luka wasn't even fully healthy at that. You're like, even despite all the flopping and the guys, I get it. Luka whines, Luka flops, 100%. We've seen it, all of that. There's nobody that matches Devin Booker. Like, unbelievable. It's unreal. The dude gets Kevin Durant and is like, dude, I'm even more confident in my flopping.
The Kardashian Pez dispenser did strike again, and several times. There's the incredible clip where Kyrie Irving is guarding him on the top of the key, and like Devin Booker dribbles up to him in a foul that I hate because it's just a little contact. Like Devin Booker dribbles a little bit too close to Kyrie. There's a little contact with Kyrie's chest, and his arms are out to his side, and then all of a sudden, like Devin Booker flings back, and that's a foul. Like I just hate that foul. But it seemed like in this game that the Mavs are being reffed on a curve because the Mavs are being more physical. Luka's obviously a more physical player than Durant and Booker. And so the types of fouls he was getting and the types of fouls the Suns were getting were just so different in this game. It's hard to try and officiate them the same because the Mavs had a ton more free throws, right? They had 38 free throws and the Suns only had 25. If you called it the same, the Mavs may have had 50 free throws in this game.
No, oh yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
but I think if you're looking at some more positives, like, okay, give me a positive from this loss. The Mavs took a shot in the mouth from the beginning of the game, right? The Suns built up a 9-point lead in the first quarter, and it was just incredible shot making. Like, if you were at this game, you just saw how hard,
like a playoff game.
It felt like a playoff game, and how hard it is to defend Kevin Durant. He takes that team to such another level because I can't say the adult. He's Superman on the Justice League. The Justice League is like all these people together, and they got to figure out, okay, how do we fix this huge world-ending problem? And Superman flies in and just like punches everything and is indestructible, and like he's kind of a plot device that's really hard to use because he just like comes in or he's Captain Marvel in Endgame when all of a sudden she flies in and blows up all of Thanos' ships, and he's like, okay, we gotta change the entire plan because this person has showed up now, and that's Kevin Durant. As soon as the Suns like get cold for a couple possessions in a row, Kevin Durant can just score 5 points like it's nothing. Like he just pulls up and gets to his spot, pulls up and hits a shot. Like there's nobody in the NBA right now that makes scoring look as easy as Kevin Durant.
No, in mid-range, he can get whatever he wants. Tim was talking about post-game, is like, dude, KD's been doing this since, he's a kid working on his craft, and it's like you can try stuff, but that's what makes their team so deadly. You go out and you make that trade because of that. The defense for Mavericks tonight, it came down and it worked a lot of the game. It came down to, hey, we're going to bring a double. We're going to bring a double on, KD or Booker or whoever it is. And whoever the fifth guy is, you're going to get the shot. And it's like, we're going to dare you, whoever the fifth guy is you have in this game. And it was Josh Okogie, and the dude couldn't hit a shot for nothing. And they just kept on leaving him open. They're like, he's just going to live by this or die by it. And he was dying by it. And them switching him out and saying, you know what? You just don't have it tonight. Them switching him out for Ish Wainwright. And, they tried Terrence Ross, but dude, Terrence Ross looks cooked on defense. But Wainwright hitting those threes in the game, that was arguably the difference in the game.
That was a huge moment, and it takes that. Like, Mavs fans should know by now that some role players like Maxey or Reggie or Dorian or whoever it was hitting a bunch of threes in a game can totally swing a game. If Luka's going to have the game that he does, now that could totally swing a game too. But yeah, Ish Wainwright in that fourth quarter, he's been in and out of the lineup, but in that fourth quarter, he hit.
He was 4 or 5 from 3.
Yeah, he hit 2 of 3 in that fourth quarter, and Okogie was 0 for 8. There was 3 possessions in a row at one point where Okogie missed like every single time. They just kept running that same thing. That was the beginning of the third quarter. They just kept running that same play over and over again. They got a wide open 3 for Josh Okogie, and it just didn't go down every single time.
It was clear that was the Mavs game plan,
100%.
and it was pretty smart. It's like, all right, if all these guys are on the floor and we could have Josh Okogie taking the 3, that's probably what we're going to have doing. It's just when Wainwright started hitting the threes, Luka just couldn't close out in time.
Coming up, a couple more things that went well for the Mavericks. We got to talk about the bench and what worked for them. And then let's talk about the reasons why the Mavs lost this game, because I think there are some things they need to look at going forward. So let's talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. It's a protein bar. It tastes like a candy bar. They're delicious, and I ate one today at the game.
Whoa.
I had the brownie.
I need to make a new order.
The brownie batter puff. They're gluten-free now. I did not know that. I did not know that they were not gluten-free before that, but they are now. It's my favorite bar. They're delicious. I honestly would take this, and if you gave me a row of candy bars, I would rank it within the candy bars. Maybe not the best. Maybe not like number 1 candy bar of all time, but like within candy bars. That's how good these bars are. 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, only 6 grams of sugar. That's one of the reasons why it's all the way up there, because you're not getting a ton of sugar in it, but you are getting the protein. You are getting the taste. They do taste very good. The puffs are very different from the regular bars, so try a mixed box. Try different things. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them at Sam's Club, or you can go, like Isaac is probably doing right now, go to Built.com and use that promo code LOCKEDON15 and get yourself some Built Bars. All right, Isaac Harris, let's talk about this Dallas Mavericks game. We got to give props to the bench, because the Dallas Mavericks bench was another reason why they were in this game at all. Mavs outscored the Suns bench 48-28. This is one of the reasons why this Suns team is going to struggle in some areas, because if Ish Wainwright is your number 1 scorer, Wish Wainwright is your number 1 scorer off the bench, like that's going to be a problem. Campaign couldn't get a ton going in this game, and they honestly didn't play any of their bench guys that much. But Tim Hardaway for the Mavs, 21 points, 6 of 8 from 3. He had a couple of heat checks in this game that were just fun. First half, he was incredible. And Christian Wood played a really great game. I thought Christian Wood played really
quarter stretch
really well in most of the minutes that he played tonight. He had 17 points off the bench, a couple of boards, a steal. He hit a 3, 6 of 7 from the free throw line. You talked about that fourth quarter run where he was just helping the offense keep going. And that's what they need. They just have to keep churning the offense, just because they're not going to get enough stops on defense to go on a run or to go on a drought on offense and make it work. But Christian Wood is great. And honestly, he was better than DeAndre Ayton in this game.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about DeAndre Ayton on this team.
Me either.
Because like, I mean, how are you going to get shots? He gets 16 boards and it's just like, hey, bro, you're just going to be a rebounder. But no, Christian Wood had a great game. Like I said, he had 17 points in this game. He had a tough, powerful, drive to the basket, 2-handed dunk. I thought Justin Holiday, we talked a lot about not a lot, but Terrence Ross, spurring the Mavs, going to Phoenix. They shifted, went to Justin Holiday. I mean, there's a chance that this looks like Holiday's a better player than Ross.
He's definitely a better fit.
End of the season, I know, and when I was watching Okogie miss all those threes, I leaned over to Bobby and I was like, I bet they wish they had Justin Holiday right now, because he could have played that role great, and just stood in the corner and hit open threes. But no, I thought, and this is the reason why you're picky about the Tim Hardaway trade stuff at the deadline, because this is a type of Tim Hardaway thing that he can give you. For all the defensive stuff we talk about and the streakiness, he is a very streaky player. But man, I mean, they were 4 points away, 5 points away from beating the Suns team, and it had a lot to do with Tim's 21 points off the bench, because you got a guy like Tim who can get hot like this and hit 6 or 7 threes in a game, and it's like, all right, you could do that. Now, the next game he can go 1 for 9. You just gotta, cross your fingers. But come playoff time, he could very well win you a game in the playoffs.
But then you hope that Bullock goes like 6 of 8 from 3, or that Maxey does it, or Christian Wood does it, or some of the or Kyrie or Luka. Somebody else gets hot from 3 at that point, and that's what you're hoping for. That's why you get all these guys together that can get hot at certain times. And last year, why the Mavericks were so good in the playoffs, because you never know which guy that was going to be. But I thought Tim Hardaway also was good defensively at times. I thought that he had. I thought you come at me with that face. I thought he had some good plays.
I just got one question for you. Why is he in the game guarding KD at the end?
Yeah.
What is that? Like
a couple things I still don't get is when you can go offense defense, why not put Josh Green? I thought Josh Green was good on KD at times. He had some really good,
especially at the end. It's like I get it at the beginning because Josh, fouls everybody, but at the end, it's like, all right, like
wow, I don't know. Josh fouls everyone except for Devin Booker on that transition play. What was that? I mean,
I don't know.
That was a third quarter, middle of the third quarter. There's a foul on a Booker fast break. He's on the other, and then Josh Green realizes that Booker's already got the layup. He can't catch up to him, and so he just leans away from him and tries to not get any contact. There is really no contact. It looks like there's contact with his foot, but there's really not. And then they call a foul on it. It was brutal.
Yeah, absolutely horrible. But yeah, I mean, I didn't think, I'm not the coach here. Twitter's not the coach, but I probably wouldn't have.
Twitter isn't the coach.
I probably wouldn't have Tim guarding Kevin Durant late in the game, but that was the choice. Once again, I think that's probably Maxey. And hey,
didn't matter who was guarding KD in this game.
A positive from this is Maxey's kind of like your card in the deck that they haven't got to see with this lineup yet. So if you meet in the playoffs, and it's like, hey, they haven't got to see Max. I mean, they played against Maxey last year, but I don't know.
I don't know if it's a positive that Maxey had hamstring surgery, comes back a little earlier than we expect, and then is out for hamstring soreness.
I'm just saying.
I'm not sure that I'm taking that as a positive.
What conspiracy music here? What if the Mavs held out Maxey because they're like, hey, we don't want to show you our true closing.
Want to hold
lineup.
a card.
Yeah, we don't want to show you our true closing lineup until the playoffs.
A player they've played already in an entire playoff series.
It comes down for the Mavericks in this game is the fact that you got to score 130 points to win a game. That feels like it's the typical thing now. Like I think Iztok tweeted out, which shout out to Iztok. Iztok's been in Dallas the past week. I've been at all the games. I think today was his last game. So show Iztok some love. If you don't follow him on Twitter,
that was a rough homestand for him to visit.
It was. He's a great guy, obviously in Slovenia. But anyway, like I think he's been joking, like, hey, this team's got to score 130 points to have a shot in a game. I don't know how sustainable that is. Like 130 is a lot. You got some really good offensive players, but you shouldn't have to score 130 to win every game.
One of the reasons why they have to score 130 is their pace has gone up. They were 29th in pace in the NBA before the trade. Since the trade, I just looked it up. They're ninth, and this is counting games with Luka or without, or with Kyrie and without. They're 19th in pace. So their pace has increased. So you take their pace down a little bit, it's maybe 110, 120 they have to score to win instead of 130. But like that's one of the reasons why it looks so ridiculous that they have to score this much. Now, they still do need to score that much, and it is a lot. I don't think I was on Locked On Sports today, and Peter asked me, he's like, where does this team find defense? Like, a fan came up to me today and was like, we got to get JaVale McGee some more minutes. And I was like, if JaVale McGee is the answer to turning this defense around, I don't think the Mavs have any answers. There's no more personnel answers. Bringing back Maxey is going to help a little bit whatever he can give you, but there is no defensive answers. And also, there was not going to be no answers for Booker or Kevin Durant. Like, there's not any good enough answers for that. Those guys are just incredible shot. Like, there's just incredible shot making going on in this game.
And there was a lot of switching going on. They run Booker off these screens.
Yeah.
And he's just incredible at, shooting at these angles, moving sideways. They're tough, but they got to get better defensively. And at this point, you're just crossing your fingers and saying you're hoping playoff time that the trio of Maxey, Josh, and Reggie can just step it up a notch and say, and you're looking at Luka saying, you got to try.
Yeah.
Like, come playoff time, you got to try on the defensive end. And because, I mean, if we're being honest, now some of the Ish Wainwright stuff, he should have closed out. And if we're being honest, that was
his guy.
He's kind of slow getting out, closing, in the corner. But to his defense a little bit, sometimes he had to help in the paint because some guys were getting beat off the dribble. They were driving in. He was helping a little bit, but still, there's too many of them. And he's not healthy. But come playoff time, hopefully he'll step it up a notch defensively.
Yeah, Dallas Mavericks come away with a loss, but there's some positives from it, and they move on now. They play some more. They have more games to play. They have more games to try and figure out what this team is going to do. They have coming up
David Locke coming to town.
Yeah, the boss, David Locke with the Utah Jazz coming in on Tuesday. That should be a good game, and Mavericks can hopefully figure some things out. Then New Orleans, Memphis, 2 games in a row, probably without John Morant at this point. That's what I would guess. Then San Antonio, and then Los Angeles, then Memphis again. So that's their next slate of games. These are games the Mavericks should try. They should be able to figure some stuff out. I don't know if defensively they'll figure some things out, but this should be a good stretch of games for the Mavericks to work through some of these issues.
For sure.
Nothing else to add?
I was trying to think of a joke, but it's better if I just keep my jokes.
I thought we came up with.
Next time, don't wait till it's 3 seconds left to talk.
Did you think the halftime performance is weird today?
The halftime performances have been weird. Basically,
they're all weird. I'm all out on them. I hate halftime performances.
The last 5 halftime performances for the Mavericks have been, okay, we have this woman that can do a thing that no one else can do, basically. Because there's one that I sent to my wife that was this woman was balancing on this giant yellow exercise ball, like a 4-foot tall exercise ball. And she's like walking around on it and then spinning like glowing hula hoops. There's another one today that was like riding a bicycle in a bunch of different ways. There's another one that she was doing handstands and then she shot an arrow from her feet doing a handstand, which actually that part was cool, but doing the other handstand stuff, like it's just been some interesting ones one after the other where I'm like, are all these people related? Like, how do they know they could do all? Did you guys find them all from the same circus?
Well, that's the thing. Every single halftime thing, I always ask, how did you know? How did you find out you can do this?
The chin balancing guy.
Weird.
How does he know he can balance stuff on his chin like a ladder or a desk?
I have hot takes about halftime performances. We don't need them. Like, take them all out. Like,
what do you do instead?
Play a video on the Jumbotron. Some video. Show like a flashback.
Play an episode of Ted Lasso on the video.
Moody Madness. Like, do some educational thing about the history of the Mavs or something. Like, do that instead of some dumb person, like, I don't know, like having little like dogs out there. I don't care.
The dog ones are great. Give me every halftime show with dogs.
I love dogs, but hey, go catch a frisbee. Cool. I can go to the park and see that.
Yeah, but not that far and not multiple times and backflips. I'm here for all the dogs on the court.
Yeah, the first time I'm like, hey, cool move, Fido.
Wow.
And then after like the 15th time of him catching a frisbee, I'm like, all right, let me go get some popcorn.
Isaac even hating dogs.
Explain yourself.
I love dogs. Don't even. It's the halftime performances in general. We can just, yeah.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. We'll be here for the rest of the week. And also, go check out Locked On NBA Game to Game. It's on the Locked On NBA YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.